Let's go ahead and add in some eyes and a mouth so that he could smile or frown and see and have eyes, because right now it's kind of creepy. All right. To add eyes, we're just going to shift to add in a UV sphere. And with the obvious sphere, again, you could see on the bottom left, there's a menu that comes up, and we could select how many segments and rings the SUV sphere has. You will see that as soon as I move the movie sphere and confirm, those options will go away. So once again, you can only change those, right? When you add something or do that. I just left all of them at default. Now for the IWA, we're going to do is with a sphere selected, you could see it's very, very blocky. So once again, right-click Shield Smooth to make it smooth. Then we want this part. If we go to edit mode, you could see that this part right here, which is kind of like an iris, is facing upwards. So let's rotate this in object mode, X, and then type in 90 to rotate it 90 degrees. And now you will see that the iris is facing more that way. All right then, let's just go in front of you one on the numpad G to grab it, scale it down, and place it right where you want your eye to be. Right about there. Obviously it's in the head. So let's go to a side view Y and bring it forward to there, and there we go. We have one eyeball and then Shift X two eyeballs sweet. However, they're not centered. So once again, shifts like both of them GX and make it centered. Or you can put your eyeballs like that if you want. It's up to you. This is your cube creation. Now let's go ahead and add in a mouth to add in a mouth. Quite simple. We're going to hit Shift, add Mesh Plane GZ, and bring it up. Now we're going to hit our X90 and G. Why bring it out forward like that and then scale it down like so and bring it up? Now we're going to use what's called a modifier. Oh, that looks, I guess that could be his mouth. He's in shock right now. Or we can use a modifier. Now modifier, as the name implies, modifies your match. Now modifiers are super, 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 super cool. That's how cool they are. I had to add 5 supers. I think that was 5. But if we go to this wrench icon right here, these are modifiers you could see. If I click Add Modifier, we got a bunch of different modifiers. The one we're going to be using right now is Mirror. Now the modifiers basically modify your mesh in a non-destructive way. You will see that right here we have the modifier, and usually for modifiers, you do not apply them. So this is a mere modifier, and it will mirror your mesh based on the origin point. If we have one to go in front of you tab to go into edit mode and G and move this out, you could see it is now mirroring this square. How cool is that now? Again, it's non-destructive because it's right here, and we could quickly hide this modifier, and without applying it, you could quickly make changes to this without it actually being part of the mesh. But if I apply it and then go into edit mode, you can see that now both of the squares are actual meshes. And when I move this one, it's no longer mirrored. So again, modifiers are super cool. And for the most part, you do not want to apply them unless you know what you're doing. Now, for this mere modifier, I want to select right now. We have 2 different axes we can here on the X-axis, Y-axis, and Z-axis. I'm just going to do the X-axis. And then right here, we have an option called clipping. Now, clipping basically means that the 2 sides, once they touch like that, they will merge together. And now you could see that they are stuck. So we're going to turn clipping on, hit SZ. And all of this is done in edit mode, by the way. SZ going to vertex select mode, select these vertices, and just hit R to rotate. IDO extrude and check that out. As we extrude one side, it's mirrored to the other side. Super cool. So we're going to move this like that, and then maybe extrude it one more time to like that. Now this is very useful because again, it's mirrored exactly the same on the other side. So we have the exact same replication of this smile on that side, because let's say you did it by hand and you made the smile not as a smiley as this side. It's not good. I'm going to hit Control or add a loop cut right here. Grab these 2 vertices here, GZ, and bring them down, and there we go. And then I'm going to hit Control. Actually, I'm just going to grab this one, move it down a little bit, move that one and move that one. So just kind of make it a little bit more spherical, and maybe grab those like that. All right? Sweet. So, there we go. we have this mere modifier. Now we want to hit G, and this is an object, mogwai. Bring it closer to us, face to about there, then in edit mode to select everything. And we're going to extrude all this back so that, because right now it's just a flat mouth, there's no dimension to it with everything selected. Ido extra this back, and now he has a little bit of size to his mouth. Now we're going to add another modifier, and this is probably one of the most used modifiers in the world. I don't know why I said that in a slight Trump-ish voice. All right, I'm very sorry. We can't go to add modifier, and we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier, subdivision surface modifier, and again, you could see that you could add modifiers as stacks. And it's very important which order the modifiers are in. If I hit the up arrow on the subdivision surface modifier, you could see that. Well, right now you can't really see a big difference. Maybe if I turn well right now, you can't really see a big difference. But later on, I will show you that it really does matter which order the modifiers are in because they applies them from top to bottom. So it's applying the mere modifier first and then the subdivision surface modifier. Now the subdivision surface modifier basically subdivides, which means it adds more geometry and smooths it out at the same time. If we hit Z to go into wireframe, you could see that there's more geometry that's been added. And if I increase the viewport number right here, you could see that more is added. Now, the more geometry your scene has, the more it will be slow, and the more it will take time to render. So a good rule of thumb is that you don't want to add more geometry than is needed. You can see that right here. Also, let's right-click Shade Smooth this right here in Solid View. If I go to Viewport of 1, it's still a little bit blocky. Viewport of 2 is good. However, if I increase it to Viewport of 3, 4, or 5, there's not much of a difference. However, if I go into Wireframe, you can see that there's a lot of geometry here which will cause your scene to be slower and render times take longer. So usually with the Subdivision Surface modifier, you don't want to go higher than 3. Now this is the Viewport Subdivision Surface, and this is the Render Subdivision Surface. So when you render out your final image, it will take this value, and in the viewport, it will take this value. So again, that is the Subdivision Surface modifier. I'm going to hit Z, not the Windows key. I'm going to hit Z and go into solid mode once again. You don't want to apply this for the most part. If we had time to go into edit mode, you could see we have this much geometry. If we apply it again, you don't have to do this, but if we apply it, you could see that we have a bunch more geometry. However, now it's part of the actual mesh, and usually we have so many vertices here to move. However, if I had Control Z to get back our Subdivision Surface modifier, you could see that it looks just as smooth right now. But if I had Tab, we only have a couple of vertices to move. So it's much more intuitive because moving that many vertices is not as useful. But here we could only move a couple, but we could move a couple vertices, and achieve the same result. So that's a Subdivision Surface modifier, and there we go. Our guy looks very happy and happy. Let's say this file survives, and I'm going to name this character 3 Surveys, and boom, I will see you in the next video. Choof for now, over.